Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome students. Today we are going to discuss our second lectures on this series of cleaner production approaches, that is 4-hour mine closure and sustainability development, sustainability planning in the mine site. How can we adopt a new concept, that is regenerative environment design? And as a sustainable mine closure, it is basically we are going to talk about what is regenerative sustainability. Now, sustainability as such is you can take a lot of measures, you can keep on supporting, and then the people can start using that land which is left after mining. But thing is that when we talk about regenerative, now whether the nature develops itself to a better conditions. So that means regenerating the nature by nature. That is how a sustainability will be achieved as a regenerative sustainability. So today we will be discussing about this concept. Now, to take this regenerative sustainability for designing a mine planning, a mine closure planning for regenerative purposes, we need to know the meaning of this word regenerate. We know that the literary meaning, it is giving a new life or energy to, or it is a revitalizing, to bring or come into a renewed existence, or to impart new or more vigorous life. So that is, now we need to regenerate the mine site, that is a mine site which are exactly supporting the mining activities and its paraphernalia, and as a result it got damaged, it has become barren. Now we need to regenerate it, to means to form or to construct or create anew, that is we will need to get an improved state or to restore to a better, higher and more worthy state. So how can you make it again? It's a giving a new lease of life to the all dead barren soil, to improve a place or a system, especially by making it more active or successful. So I think by now you know that exactly that what the regenerate word as such it means. Now in that we'll have to bring a harmony to the nature, that is how human beings, society and its life supporting attributes like how the food, water, energy, shelter, it can be provided by nature. For that, a harmony with the people and society and the nature will have to be achieved, and that is to be achieved by a progressive harmonizations. So that means certain work will have to be carried out in the post mining mine site, so that we can develop the site in such a way that it is a harmony with the nature and the society. And then when we say the nature, all is flora, fauna, and also it's how it serves the other humankind, those things will have to be restored. So that is what we will be discussing today, so that after the class you should be able to explain what is this regenerative principles and how exactly it can help our post mining mine site management. So that is, again we can tell it as the regenerative sustainability management. A new management techniques will have to be applied over there. So for this you should be able to conceptualize a new approach for mine closure planning. So far we have talked about mine closure planning in a different way. Now let us hope that we can get some new insight to these aspects. So what is regenerative design? The regenerative design is based on the concept of humans and the built environment exist within natural systems. So there exactly in the architecture, while building design and all, this concept developed, and when they do a built environment, it should be designed to co-evolve with the surrounding natural environment. This was the principle in the architecture, in the building design, in township design. People were thinking that we will have to create a built up area in such a way that there is it co-evolve, it does not bring a disharmony, so that the building or whatever the built up area, marketplace, your school, college and all that thing, whatever come up in a nature, so that it is merged with the natural surrounding and it becomes a part of the system. That was the thinking over there. Now after the post mining site, that is when you are post mining site, we require a reconstruction. That is we create or build an environment. So that's why in a post mining site, a built environment emerges. That means whatever is coming over there, that is not a natural thing. We'll have to create something, and that's why we can say that we are designing or we are building an environment over the mine closure site. So that is, you have got to can bring the similarity with the civil engineering and architecture. They design a house, they design a township, but here as a mining engineer, as an environmental engineer, as a becoming a post mining mine site manager, you will have to now reconstruct the site to bring a built environment there, and therefore this environment needs designing and co-evolving with the surrounding natural environment. Whatever the architects say that they want to do a co-evolve, that same thing, same principle we can adopt in our mine closure for a designing to co-evolve with the surrounding of the natural environment. Now that natural environment may vary mine to mine. If you go for say when we are doing a sand mining, we are talking about the river, that riverine environment is a different one. When we tell about this placer deposits, maybe when we talk about the alluvial mining, there is a different thing. When the rare earth elements in a sea coast, when we do, there is a different environment, and when we do a iron ore on a hilltop, the hilltop mining is a different one. Or when we talk of the coal mining in the black cotton soil valleys of say in Maharashtra, there we need to get that there is a mining with a very nearby agricultural and farmland surroundings are there. So with that, our closed mine now need to co-evolve. So there is a different type of systems will have to be regenerated. So the post mining mine site needs to serve towards bringing a positive change in the area and to the society. So that means, as we already said, our mine closure objective is basically to get this we need to create that how you will be supporting the society after the mine closure. So there the sustainable development concept we have talked about, and we have talked about what will be a sustainable mine closure. That sustainable development which talk of about one technological sustainability and ecological sustainability. Now the technology which you are adopting, which will be requiring your energy, which will be requiring your resources, which will be requiring your systems, machines, your control, all that technological environment, and that will be sustainable. But one thing is there, technological environment is a continually changing, just like your environment is also changing. But in the environment, in the nature, there is a recycling systems by itself. But in case of technology, we generate, sometimes we create waste, we create dumps, and we can in the consumptions also in the technology we get lot of scraps and other things are developed, only a part of it may get reused. So the new environment will have to ensure a net positive environmental benefit. So that means when we are extracting something from the nature and then we are taking it out, there is always a give and take, but and that exactly when the gap increases, then the conditions supporting our own living get problem. That is exactly, if you are climbing on a tree and cutting the branches for your logging or for other purposes, you are still standing on the branch, but if you cut the branch, then you will be falling down. That same principle applies here. That means you will have to cut in such a way that the new branches also come out, and you can go to that another branch and then another part you cut. So that means you think of a self-sustaining tree, that if you cut the branch, new branches will be coming and that will always remain. And this is where exactly the principle of tena tactena vunjitha, that means you will have to consume with sacrifice, and there how the nature will be bringing a sustainable balance, that net positive balance in the environment will have to be thought of. And for that you will have to develop the human settlements, facilities, uses, and that partner with the natural system. This partnering with the natural system is the most important concept, that which will have to, that is, will have to, that there in the nature there are a number of systems and there are a number of processes going on. There is exactly that tree will grow, their leaves will fall, and that leaf will be again giving fertility to the ground, and then the fruit with seed will come, and then this old will become the tree. Even if dies, then from that seed again a new tree will be coming, and the system will be sustaining. So that exactly will have to emulate in our environment in such a way that regenerate the health of their place as a whole, and the spirit of the people who inhabit it, who live it over there, their exactly zeal, their way of living, their happiness, that will have to be maintained while extracting the minerals or while harvesting the forest. We'll have to think of that how nature can be given so that the regenerate and then the balance is maintained. So regenerative sustainable development is, you can define it, it is an integrated sustainable design that goes beyond having no negative impact. Normally when you say environmental management, people will be telling that we should not have adverse or negative impact. But in sustainable regenerative things, you may have negative impact, but we will regenerate it, and that is exactly attaining a net positive impact on the environment. We do not talk only on the negative impact, but we talk of regenerating to give a net positive impact. So that means even if something has happened, if we can rectify it and give more back to get it again replenished, that is a system, that is a concept. So in that concept, when we talk of regenerative environment, we talk exactly two things. One is, in our technological system, technical system, we use more energy, and as we use energy, you degenerate the nature. And then need that exactly, if you start developing your taking care of the environment, we go on making them green, then there a balance is giving, but there not. We will have to restore it so that it can regenerate, and then the nature get replenished so that you can take more from there. So that is what exactly a living system work. For that means, for designing a regenerative environment, we need something called ecological intelligence. That ecological intelligence, this is another word you should remember, and then we will have to understand what is there in the nature, how intelligently they are doing, the knowledge about how nature works. That ecological intelligence, the biologists, the botanists, they do find out that when they could find out that, say, Dr. Hargobind Khurana, when he found out this our genetic behavior, genes and all, when he discovered, he found out that how that intelligence is embedded in the systems, and then this exactly the quality and the things are going from generation to generations, and then certain creations. And then the people started, of course, creating new artificially, that is your genetically modified food, and all these things have started coming, because what they have done, they have identified that ecological intelligence. Similarly, we need to know that exactly in the computer science, in data science, people have started that intelligence they emulate. That's why when you see some of the new algorithm, like your sparrow search algorithm, or you talk of this ant colony algorithm, what are those? Exactly, they have emulated the way the nature, some of the constituents of the nature work. So we'll have to get that intelligence, how nature is exactly working, because I told you in another class that biomimicking, that when it's biomimicry and then mimicking of the biological field can lead to some of the ideas in which way we'll have to treat our systems to make it better. So same thing exactly in the old days in the villages, the people used to take on a pitcher they will be taking the sand and charcoal and things like that, and then during the rainy season, that when the water coming as a suspend with a lot of suspended solids and all, they used to filter through that sand pitchers, and then they were getting cleaning water, just they were taking, because they knew that in the well, that water which is percolating down and they are getting filtered and getting in the well, and from that they were getting the pure drinking potable water. So that's there exactly that intelligence of which is there in the nature, that is a filtering, that is a ecological intelligence. They used it in a very small way, but that has to be taken into now in our complex phenomena also. So post mining mindset will have to regain and retain the biodiversity in the site. Before the mining operations, there were perhaps a forest. In that forest there were birds, there were animals, there were microorganisms, there were insects. Now they have gone. Now you will have to, with that the biodiversity has gone. The biodiversity is nothing but how one species support the other species and without exactly endangering the species. And then there will be exactly what type of that is your fauna and flora will be there in a particular habitat it is exactly designed. So that biodiversity when got affected because of our mining or the other anthropogenic activities, we'll have to now restore it with all measures, that is to ensure that the health it is continue for a longer period. So now when we have to do that, for that the mine closure of tomorrow must be regenerative. I think this is here clear. That means the mine closure is not only just an environmental management, it is not by just doing a plantation. And I told you earlier also, many at the site you go, you will find that in the overburden dump there are some plantations. In that small hole they have put all the fertilizer, tree has grown, but between the two trees there is no grass, nothing there, the soil is barren. Then when you start taking care of the tree, that this tree will die. So that's why exactly that is not a environmental management in mind. So we'll have to do a regenerative. So how can we make that overburden dump supportive to the trees so that it grows by itself? There I gave you that example of how we did the vetiverization of the overburden dump. When we did it with a vetiver, we did not do any plantations, but after 3 years, birds and all they brought the seeds, and then many trees grew there. So that means the soil became regenerative there, that the systems started little bit of developing by themselves. So that's why to restore, renew and revitalize that their own source of energy and materials. Regenerative meaning is it will have to restore, renew or revitalize and their own sources of energy and material, whatever is required for that, whatever energy is required, everything should be given by itself. So regenerative design uses whole system thinking to create a resilient and equitable system. Resilient means that is if you disturb it, it will have to come back. It's just like a certain thing of if you stress a elastic rope, then after that it is coming back to its original positions. If that is if you are cutting a branch of a tree, then after again a new branches are coming and then the same amount of fruits will be coming over there every year. So that is a resilient nature has given in those trees. So we'll have to integrate the needs of the society with the integrity of nature. That is one thing. When that if society start taking more than it necessary, then exactly the things start becoming, and that's why the holding and storing systems only create the food crisis and then the people go starving. there is a issues that exactly that still the planet is producing enough energy, enough fuel, enough food for all the people to live over here. But because of our systems we have created, in that it does not exactly support that. That is a different, another sociological aspects. We are not talking about it. But when we are doing this mine closure, we are targeting environmental rehabilitation. That is, we'll have to rehabilitate the environment, revitalize it, regenerate it, and regenerate in such a way that it itself can become self-sustainable. Now, planning for a diverse post-mining economy. So that means when we talk of a mine closure, we'll have to think of that is your subsistence of the people who will be living around. And in our modern system, without economic and without financial management, things will not happen. So your mining site will have to generate, will have to support certain economic activities, and the closure planning throughout the life cycle of the mine. That is your closure. It is not starts at before the beginning of the mining, and it will be continuing after the mining. So that's why I told you that is you need not study about that only mining technology. You will have to know about the closure technology, that because every time how will be closing a mine, because every day you have certain things to do considering your post mining activities. Regional approach of the mine closure is an important thing, because though you are doing a particular locality, that the minerals are going to serve the whole country, and also it is going abroad to serve in a different way. And then when you are doing it over there, your impact is not only on that locality but it a total region, and also from a different region people will be coming over there for in search of livelihood and things like that. So that when we talk about the mine closure, that is it is not only a issue of that locality, it is an issue of the region, and then there will be certain things to be done by all. So that's why what is that this regenerative design that will be coming. Now there is many approaches. One thing is, there smaller a system is designed, the more likely it is to be resilient and regenerative. That means if we take a very small activities and then we see that it is exactly if there is certain disturbance, that small system it can take care of itself, and then again it become good. So maybe if we design a mine closure, we can think of a number of such type of small activities that which will be regenerative in nature, and then when you make a sum total of it, it can start developing. So but that is a philosophy. Giving to a particular site, you will have to see what type of small projects can be taken up in a small area, and then in that project you will have to see that it is exactly becoming a self-supporting and self-regenerating or not. And then number of experiments may be necessary, but we'll have to think in that line. Now utilized mine closure, this is another concept you can think of, that just like a smaller system, mine plans should encourage mining operations to release different geographically sectored areas for post mining restorations, a small units. That's what exactly you are doing, a unitized mine closure. You are doing a particular units, and then after that you will be bringing a sum total. These form the areas of unitized mine closure concept and their activities, and then you do it. And then what could be done in certain area, that distributing the land over there into number of groups for different activities, and ultimately that is your from one sector, that the type of work they will be doing, their residue could be the source for the other unit to do a work, and then there whatever the product is coming, that may be serving the other unit. So like that. So for example, if you are giving a block for the grassland, and then you are forming a cattle farm over there in the close mining area, now that when they will be doing, they will be having that grass for which will be feeding the cattle, and then you collect the cattle urine and then cattle dung, cow dung and cow urine, and from there you can also develop this pansagabya, by which that another area you are developing for your horticultural garden. Now that when we are having that horticultural garden, then from their fruits and all that what residue will be coming, that can give a generative biomass for, you can create a small your bio energy generations, and from there you can drive the pump from which the pumping water will be going to keep the grassland as well as horticulture and feeding the cow. So that means that small unit, there are different units in the whole post mine closure area, and ultimately it is generating as a just in a ruralization in the past. As our Indian knowledge system, you will find that near the river bank or near some forest, that how people hutmen were coming, and then if for different hutmen they were doing a different work, and from there exactly there were a sustainability amongst them, because one community, one village product were used by the other. So that concept of unitized mine closure could be giving a totally different scenario, and we can get the whole closed this post closure mine site a economical subsistence for the local society. So this is an example of how you can go for regenerative. Now regenerative design should use a whole system thinking to create resilient and equitable system that integrate the needs of the society with the integrity of future. So this is how exactly you will have to do. So that regenerate means you will have to restore, renew and revitalize its own sources of energy and materials. As I said with that example, that is exactly taking the natural way, restoring and then supporting over there. After that, in the mine site, you can develop a stadium, you can develop that's a recreation center, you can make your mine closure site as a international convention center will be coming over there, people from different, and then you can make a lot of post mining tourism, those things will be coming up. But before coming over there, that site will have to be naturalized or regenerate, and that can be done by those type of innovative new concepts. Now the societal demand for ecological resources and services has exceeded what the art can generate, and then it become a deficit. That negative balance is dangerous. So today the deficit is reflected primarily in the excess of carbon dioxide. If that is coming, your activities and all, you are generating more carbon dioxide, you are generating more particulate material, you are generating more effluents, you are creating acid mine drainage. These are nothing but getting a negative balance. So robust environmental management plan therefore operationalized life cycle mine closure planning at early stages and very crucially, and so that everything whatever is coming out as an effluent in an unit, they will have to be restored, and that unitized approach for all wherever the pollutants are generating will have to, that in that unit itself will have to retain. So then with more creative and construction based strategies, mine closure can easily lead to the realization of a positive environmental and social outcome. So for that, our mining business is mostly anthropocentric activities. Now this anthropocentric activities which you are doing in the mining, that exactly characterized by it, there will be indiscriminate resource use could be there, and then there will be an attempt for efficient resource use. That first thing you have done indiscriminately wherever it is there. In the past, if you see 100 years ago, nobody bothered about what is going to, now you are doing efficient resource use, you take care of certain thing. And then say in the 60s, 70s, 80s, people started telling about this conservation of resources, and now you are telling about this closer affiliation. So like that mining activities has done this anthropocentric, all are related to the human activity oriented. Then with the mine closure planning and execution of the mining operations, aim for biocentric business. Now in your closure, it is a regenerative sustainability will be biocentric, means you will be mimicking the nature, and then you will be restoring the nature and tending to the nature and to become a nature ultimately. So you are taking certain action by how the nature changes, you have looked into it, how the soil become fertilized, those things you have seen in the nature, and you are trying to mimicking it and then doing it over there. And after that you have done the restorations, then you started using as the nature tends to, and after some time you will find it is not your anthropocentric or anthropogenic activities there, but it is a nature it has become a natural, the things will be started continuing regenerative by itself. So towards that, how can we go through this regenerative sustainability? There will be different ecological strategies will have to be taken. What that mining company will start with recognizing, exhibiting biophilia, that is how to interact, to be closely associated with the other form of life in nature. So you will have to be biophilic, that is a desire, tendency to commune with the nature. You will have to love tree, we will have to love birds, we will have to love bees, we will have to love this butterflies, because without the butterflies, without the bees, our food crisis will be coming. In your your mine closure, post mining land site, you will have to see, you will have to plant flowers so that the butterflies come, so that there is a community of bees come, because those bees will be exactly helping in pollinizations of the fruits, horticultural gardens and other things over there. So those, you will have to generate that love for the biological world, that is your biophilia. It will be the first, when you are doing our mining operations and all, at least the people, the society around will have to create that, how you can start loving the nature. And then you will have to adopt biomimetic. Biomimetic means it is to constructing a new land use in the post mining area to create ecological subsystems in which site can emulate nature's design and processes to create a healthier, more sustainable surrounding. That's what I was telling. You will have to have a cattle farm, you will have to be a grass farm, you will have to be have a horticultural garden, you will have to have a biocomposting center, you will have to have that biogas plant in the mine closed area, and that is exactly to certain extent mimicking how that is your in the nature restoration is taking place. One supports the other, one's waste is the food for the other, that is your waste to food scenario, and that the cycle that continuation goes. And there you will have to get the restorative activities which attempt to the community, watersheds, wilderness, you will have to restore that. Exactly, you will have to create a new community of ants, maybe flowers, maybe insects, maybe anything. And then you will have to see that how watershed is there. The whole world, that is particularly in India, we are creating a big problem of we are losing the wilderness and the watersheds. Now in the rainy season you can see that every towns are flooded with the rivers, and then the people are having problem. Why? Because under the constructions of the whole townships and things like that, exactly we are not allowing any space that rainfall water cannot percolate. And then the watersheds which were earlier accumulating the water and all, now we do not have. Now near the cities and towns, how to create surrounding watersheds, creation of watershed, maybe another things, maybe a mining engineer in future will have to do this urban mining around surrounding the mining area, how we can create the artificial watershed so that the rainwater and all can be diverted from the city during the rainy season, and then keeping them over there, and that is a natural water harvesting should be done. The town will be getting also. Now what is happening in the rainy seasons, you are having now plenty of water, and then after 3 months you will be finding that the people are queuing for water, they don't have the drinking water. This is what exactly we have damaged the environment, and without thinking of what is called regenerative restoration. That is, we can talk in the mining area is doing much better, but that exactly I think the mining engineering concepts will have to be brought into the township planning and in the architecture, and to develop that regenerative design for creating a biome. Biome is a large naturally occurring community of flora and fauna. That biome will have to be created in the post mining land, and from there the mining engineers and that our sustainability engineers working in the mine closure can sell this expertise into the upcoming urban areas and towns, and then it could be emulated in many places around the country where during the flood you might see that lot of problems are taking place. But achieving a regenerative development by targeting Gaia hypothesis, that is ultimately we will be going towards this Gaia hypothesis. This is exactly, the Gaia is the ancient Greek goddess, exactly, that is a goddess of the earth, is called Gaia. On her name, this Gaia hypothesis is given, which says that the living matter on the earth collectively defines and regulates the material conditions necessary for the continuance of life. This is a hypothesis. The climate of and chemical composition of the earth's surface environment is and has been regulated in state tolerant for the biota. That there is this hypothesis which was introduced in 1970s by that James Lovestock, and he is the chemist and also one biologist, that is your Lynn Moriglis. They got this Gaia hypothesis, which exactly postulates that the earth's surface is maintained in a habitable state by self-regulating feedback mechanism involving organism tightly coupled to their environment. That bondage, that how the earth has been maintaining its regenerating, that concept will have to be forwarded to our post mine closure area. And this concept has got number of based on observation only, because they have observed the atmosphere is an extreme state of thermodynamic disequilibrium owing to the activities of life, yet aspects of its compositions are remarkably stable. We are still telling that 20% oxygen is there in the air. We are still finding it over there, because so many the burning, so many things are happening, but still there is a balance somewhere, amazingly. Then present conditions at the surface of the earth are close to the optimal for the dominant organisms, that different things can live over here, that from the mosquitoes to the elephants, everything is living on this earth in that surface with the different conditions. They can get generated over here, and they are self-sustaining. Life has persisted for over 3.8 billion years, despite increasing solar luminosity and various exchange of the matters with the inner earth. That we are volcano, that and all those things are happening for 3.8 million years, and then in the cosmic level also in the different galaxies, whatever is happening, but still life is persisting. So that means there is a regenerative things within that system. The earth system is that you are repeatedly recovered from massive perturbations. Mahapralay hoti hai, after that again it get regenerates. We have seen that there were ice age, there were the global inundations, but still there is a certain, so there is a regenerative system, and that practicing regenerative sustainability approach will lead to accomplishing the positive ecological and social results, and that will include improving the health and vitality of the human and natural communities. Physical, psychological, economic and ecological development can be around the mine in the post-mining area if we follow this regenerative sustainability principle, and producing and reinvesting surplus resources and energy to build the capacity of the underlying relationships and support systems of a place needed for resilience and continuing evolution of those communities, and then creating a field of caring, commitment and deep connections to place that they enables changes required for the above to take place and to endure and evolve through time. So you have got a concept. Now this will have to be applied to a mining. So we'll have to know the how mining operations are done, how machineries have been deployed, how transported the mineral and what is left over there, how the overburden dumps are filled, external dump, internal dump, and in that how can we now regenerate the what were existing scenario, and then this land can be made productive for supporting the society. And the mine closure planning needs to focus on the designing the capability of the constructed and restored facilities. We will have to design that capability so that it support a positive co-evolution of human and natural system, and for that we will have to have the foundation and that ground as its potential, and then target regenerative capacity, which will be the goal, and then partnering with the site. We will have to get a partner of it, just like a gardener He works in a garden, he become a partner to it. It is not by the owner of the garden who just ordered the gardener. So that type of a partnership with the site will have to be developed, and then we'll have to give a progressive harmonization. Slowly, incrementally, we'll have to develop, and that is that your means and motivations to be combined together to get this progressive harmonizations. And in that, you can see that our integrative sustainability management, system thinking, and stakeholder integrations will bring the building block of understanding situation to build foundation for transformations as a regenerative sustainability. And there we'll have to design continual harmonizations will be going on over there, and then a co-evolutions will take place to sustain regenerative environmental design for sustainable mine closure is possible. But for that, of course, you'll have to, this is the basic concepts I have given, you'll have to work with it. The regenerative sustainability planning for mine closure will have to look into the issues with a different perspective that resolve to the mine site issues involved. And by now, you know those issues, that is what are the mine affected water, waste rock dumps, tailing storage facilities, ground subsidence and sinkholes, unrehabilitated mine voids, air pollution and related health hazards, safety, then security of the neighboring community. All these things will have to be integrated for this regenerative mine closure activities. The regenerative sustainability, the whole system of restorations will have to take into consideration, and that regenerative design, it will create a system characterized by a closed loop of inputs and outputs. One is feeding to the other. That closed loop should be retained, as well as by a capacity of the developing and maintaining a resilient and flourishing ecosystem is possible. And for that, a coexistence and co-evolution of human and nature, together they will have to evolve as on the basis of this regenerative sustainability. And that regenerative sustainability is a design philosophy which I have talked to you, and it preaches a better lifestyle through the making of improvements as many physical systems around as humanly as possible, so that we have these systems better than we found them. That is, we are not only telling that returning the mine site as it was before, but we are giving to whatever land the mining companies took, we are returning with it an added values, and there we come this. So there are some references. This biomimetics is to be introduced into the mine closure, and there are many articles. Please go through it and start doing certain activities towards this. Thank you.